Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Andy. My name is Andy Freed. I'm the CEO of Virtual Incorporated. For the last 25 years, Virtual has been helping membership organizations as they're forming, growing, and changing and looking to put their mark on the world. I'm joined today by a good friend of mine, Bill Sellers. Bill is the Executive Director of the National History Academy and is going to chat with us a little bit today about history and what we can learn from it as we seek to make organizations better. Bill, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks so much for having me, Andy.
Bill, first question for you. What is the National History Academy?
National History Academy is a program that I started 7 years now. We started in 2018. And it's to bring together high school students from around the country to learn about the foundations of democracy and what it means to be an American. We bring students from, every summer we bring together 90 students from 35 states, 4 or 5 territories, 5 or 6 countries, to learn about democracy, and we use place-based learning to do that. So over the course of a month, we'll visit 35 different historic sites. We'll have 30 speakers. We use case studies and a parliamentary debate program to get students to talk about not only history, but also what we're dealing with as a country today. And it's using history as a tool and a resource to understand our present.
So, Bill, you're implying that any of us can learn something from history. So when I try to figure out what I'm trying to do with my organization, I usually look to leadership books. I'll read communications books. Should I be reading history books? And if so, which ones? You appear to have them all behind you.
Yeah, you absolutely should be reading history books. Behind me, I've got a whole room full of books, but I especially like biographies. I'm interested in the Constitution and the presidency and our congressional leadership. So a lot of these books are biographies of presidents and political leaders. And you see both the successful leaders and unsuccessful leaders through that. I think the most important leadership book written over the last 20 years is The Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin. You can dive into these different moments and leaders where they have qualities that you admire and that you might be able to emulate in your business. And I think Lincoln perhaps was the most effective of that of our presidential leaders.
So in simple terms, and you kind of mentioned Team of Rivals, so I take from that like one of the lessons a leader could take from history is to surround yourself with people who don't agree with you and are able to kind of give you different perspectives. What are other lessons that I might take away from history as a leader?
As we go through the arc of American history, there are many different ones, and we always try to dive into moments in time and understand both the context of that time and the people who are influencing the direction of the country. So it's not coming in with a 21st century judgment of who they are and what they're doing. It's more understanding their time and say, are these people trying to move the country forward? Are they trying to maintain a status quo? Or are they trying to move back to a time in the past? There are George Washington is known as the father of our country and is still studied. So, Mount Vernon has the largest visitorship of almost any historic site in the country, certainly any presidential home. But the precedents that he was able to establish as president, and to visit his home and to see the multifacets of his mind, actually all the founders are like that. You see, you go to Mount Vernon. Got a book on, one of the books behind me is George Washington, the first entrepreneur. He was the most successful businessman of the 18th century. He was a farmer. He was growing tobacco. He had the largest commercial fishery in the country. He had massive real estate interests. But you go to the place and you also see that all of this was run and built by enslaved people. So you see the contradictions, especially when you go to these places and you can admire aspects of their personalities, but also disagree entirely with other aspects of what they do.
Well, Bill, you do a really nice job of putting all that in context. And I say I always really enjoy talking to you, not just because with a bald head and glasses. I think you're an exceptionally good-looking man. But appreciate all the things that you bring to the table, and appreciate your perspective, and really appreciate you spending some time with us today. Bill Sellers of the National History Academy, thank you so much for spending 5 minutes with Andy today.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. It's always a pleasure.
And to all of our listeners, thank you as well for spending 5 minutes with us today. If you enjoy this, then wherever it is you listen to your podcasts, make sure you subscribe and follow this so that you can pick up our next 5 minutes when we'll continue to talk about leadership, communications, and all the things you need to do in your organization to make sure you make your mark on the world. I'm Andy Freed. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with me.